Doing something.
Hello and welcome to episode 147 of the Nintendo Fun Club podcast. I'm Ryan, and joining me once again is John.
Hey there, Rye Guy.
Hey, how are you?
Doing very well.
Awesome. I feel like we haven't done this in forever.
Nintendo Fun Club, it's been a couple weeks. Yeah. I think it's only been 2 probably, but it does feel like a long time. Yeah.
Feels like an eternity.
I think it was a terrible night for a podcast the last time we did a show, right? Because it was Castlevania 3 podcast.
Yeah.
Although that's a Simon's Quest quote, I guess. So
yeah.
Tacky.
But I guess a little bit of follow-up on Castlevania 3. Did you end up finishing it?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Did you?
Nope.
No, okay.
I did finally get my copy of the soundtrack on vinyl, though.
Ooh, nice.
And I was actually listening to it earlier today. What's great about the soundtrack is it's the Mondo soundtrack, and it's a double LP. And the first LP is the NES version, and the second LP is the Famicom version with the extra sound channels and everything, so it sounds a lot better. So yeah, I was listening to that today, and it's good stuff.
Cool. So you come down on the side that thinks the Famicom or the Famicom Castlevania 3 is better. The soundtrack is better, because I know there's some people that prefer the NES one, even though it does have an extra sound channel or 2 on the Famicom version.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's, a lot of, if you're super familiar with the NES version, the Famicom one might sound a little weird, but if you just if you put each record on a turntable and listen to them outside of the context of the game, it's pretty apparent that the Famicom version sounds a lot better.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just a super full. It's more full, I guess. But either way, the melodies are super good. I mean, regardless, but if you have the option, I'd say go for the Famicom soundtrack. But,
cool.
Yeah. So right, we have a bit of news to talk about, and then a couple games and an app.
Yeah. Ooh, can't wait to talk about that app.
So yeah, let's do some voice chat here. All right, so just a couple news stories I wanted to pull out. The first one's from a few weeks ago, but a couple of weeks ago, but I just wanted to bring it up real quick because it's just something I'm super excited about. Is that Prima Games is going to be releasing a SNES Classics book alongside the SNES Mini. So as you know, or as you may remember, when the NES Classic released, there was a book that kind of went alongside it, and it had maps and walkthroughs of some of the games, but then also some cool Nintendo Power content from the era, some interviews and stuff like that, which were really great. Some of the actual strategy guide bits were somewhat lacking, and there were a few errors here and there in them, but overall it was a pretty cool book. And they're doing something similar with the SNES Classic. So I don't know if it's going to include like Nintendo Power content this time around, because it mentions like speedrun tips and little known facts, which is interesting. But there's also going to be some legacy and history bits in there, including a section where you can learn about the SNES development and the visionaries behind the console. So, yeah, I think I'm stoked for this book. I mean, it sounds pretty in my wheelhouse. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I have the hardcover version of the NES Classic book in this series. I think in this series, and I like that a lot. I think it's cool to have. I didn't end up using it that much playing the NES Classic, but some games I feel like I could, and it still could potentially. So, and it's just, I mean, it's a hardcover book with like big pages and a lot of cool artwork and stuff in it. So, yeah, it's definitely cool. I'm only, I wouldn't say hesitation, but the only thing here is like I feel like they're not telling us that much about the content yet anyway. So, I guess like I want to believe it's going to be very similar to the first one and like kind of keep that same vibe and stuff, because I thought that was pretty cool. But I guess we don't know that for sure yet based on like the Amazon listing and what information is out there so far. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be pretty cool like the last one, so should be good.
Cool.
Yeah. Is it only a hardcover version? It seems like because with the other one, I accidentally ended up getting both of them the last time, and I like sold one. I got the hardcover and the regular edition, the like soft cover one.
Yeah.
But I don't see like a separate listing this time around.
I don't actually know.
Yeah. I think it's worth it. It was only like an extra $10 for the hardcover one, which was like bigger and had the slipcase. It was worth the extra money. So it could be a thing where that one sold so much better that they just decided to stick with that one SKU this time.
That's possible. Also, John, before we move on, I was noticing your shirt. I caught a little glimpse of your shirt there, and I was wondering what's going on with that.
Well, Ryan, I think this is a one of a kind shirt right now. This is probably like the only shirt in the world that features the Nintendo Fun Club
logo. My god.
Yeah. So obviously this is from our TeePublic store. I guess I need to sit back down by the microphone when to talk about it, but it's from the
It's okay to be excited.
Yeah, this is fresh from our TeePublic store. It showed up today, and it's been on the shop for a week now or something. But pretty much I put the design up last week, and then I ordered one right away to make sure it was cool, and it turned out well and stuff. And I think it did. It's pretty cool. So it's up there. You can get different colors and stuff like that. So I went with red, but there's a bunch of different ones there. You can get, I don't know if you can see it, not really. You can get it on other stuff too, like hoodies and long sleeve t-shirts and stuff like that. So
cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and this was all you. Like, you designed this logo, you made the listing. How, now that you actually have one of these Nintendo Fun Club podcast shirts in your hand, how do you feel about it?
It's cool. Yeah, I for at least the last 5 years since we've been doing our shows and stuff, I've been goofing around with Photoshop and making like logos, and we made our zines and stuff like that. But and it's always a good feeling when you make something that you think is cool. But this has to be one of the first times like we've had a tangible, like physical thing of something we've made. You know what I mean?
Fact check. It is actually the first time. Just giving you some NFC history there.
Yeah, like we don't even have stickers or anything like that, like mini podcasts do, not yet. So But yeah, I mean, it's just cool to see it. Like, yeah, this is the biggest and most tangible kind of artifact of the stuff we've made for the show. So it's cool. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah. I
But
don't actually have one of these shirts, but I'm thinking about I'll definitely order one at some point.
yeah, this is only the first of multiple Nintendo Fun Club logo items I'm gonna purchase. So just getting the ball rolling with
Nice.
this T-shirt. But come fall, I think a hoodie is in order, and
Wow.
you can get notebooks, you can get laptop cases, you can get all
Ooh,
kinds of stuff
back
with the
to
Nintendo Fun
school.
Club logo. Yeah, we should do a back to school promotion.
Yeah, well, I think
So
that's happening right now.
yeah, I think we are. Yeah, that's true. But no,
Yeah.
I was going to mention real quick, Ryan, that you said this was all me or whatever, but I don't remember the conversations around the development of this logo, but I feel like it had to have been your idea, like the Nintendo Fiend Club Misfits, like whole thing. I think that was probably your idea. So I
Oh
probably
yeah.
I probably
Yeah.
just
But
slapped it together. I mean,
I was
that's
just like
90% of it right there is like coming up with the idea.
no. It was a lot of let's I think this is cool, but I don't know how to do it. And then you did it, and that's why this relationship works. Um,
Yeah, this is probably one of the only examples of things working that way with our shows. But okay, um, you're the
hmm,
point man, Ryan. You're the point
hmm.
man.
Um,
Actually, you know what? It's funny. I was having a conversation with my 8-year-old son about this today because the T-shirt came in the mail today, and he wants to start a YouTube show about Minecraft. He's been talking about it constantly with his
mhm.
buddy, and he like had a smile on his face, and he was like kind of like, so you're kind of like the main guy on your show, right? Like you're like the mainest guy, and you made the shirt and all that. And I was like, yeah, totally not. Actually, Ryan is the he's the Mario to my Luigi when it comes to Nintendo Fun Club. So um, I had to set the
Well,
record straight there.
let's just say at this moment it is the year of Luigi. um,
Okay, I
yeah.
like that. I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this shirt is available on our T Public store. Like I think it's a super cool shirt. Like I said, I'm going to be ordering one myself. I think I'm going to go with the hot pink variant just because I think it looks super rad with the logo on the hot pink. Um, but yeah, you can get it on shirts, on like stickers, mugs, whatever. Um,
Yeah, and I got the standard fabric or whatever you want to say, like the standard T-shirt, and it's a really light T-shirt. So I don't like people have different like preferences when it comes to T-shirts. I'm usually more of like a thick T-shirt kind of person, and the Simon's
mhm.
Quest one that you generously sent to me, Ryan, when our T Public store opened, you must have gotten like one step up or something in the material or whatever, or maybe it was just offered on a different kind of shirt. But that one's a little thicker, which is
Mm.
kind of nice. But then again, like summertime, like this time of year, like a really light, like this shirt, like it like breathes very well, very very light. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's good for the hot summer days. But then like a lot of times I like a thicker T-shirt, especially in the winter. Um, so I guess my point is you've got options when you're going to go get a Nintendo Fun Club T-shirt. You've got options when it comes to color, Ryan. You've got
Mm.
options when it comes to style in terms of long sleeve, hoodie, short sleeve, baseball tee. You got all kinds of options there, and you have options in terms of material. Do you want a thick T-shirt? Do you want a light T-shirt? What kind of T-shirt do you want? You have all these options. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So yeah, we will definitely have the link on our website and in the show notes for this episode. So it would be super cool. Check out the shirt design, check out the other shirts in our store. And if you want to support us and get a cool shirt or mug or sticker, or you can actually get a baby onesie,
Yeah.
which I thought was, I don't know. I don't know what I thought about that, but that is a thing that can happen. So, yeah, check that stuff out. And if you do get one, like tweet us a picture of you wearing it. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would rule. That would be super cool.
I would love to see that.
You know what though?
Cool.
One last thing. I know
Uh,
we've got to move on to our actual show here and not just be a 30-minute advertisement for our new T-shirt. But I just want to say, like, I feel like we haven't made it until we have a back patch, like this logo and a back patch. You know what I mean? So
oh, to put on your punk vest.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah.
I
So
kind of want to make that punk vest actually.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about wearing the logo of my own thing though.
oh, you mean like me when I wore this all day long? Like I went down to the bike path tonight and I was walking by hundreds of people like pointing at myself saying, "Hey, this is check this out, my show." Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Um
But it's a club though, you know what I mean? It's a Nintendo Fun Club. So it's
yeah.
like if you were in like a bike gang.
Rotary Club.
Yeah, like it's not like I mean, you're in that gang. You're in this
Oh,
club.
I see.
So you're repping your club, you know what I mean? That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's different than wearing your own band's t-shirt, which if I was in a band, I would probably do that too.
You would
But
definitely wear your own band's t-shirt, yeah.
I would.
But it also kind of reminds me of that quote from Annie Hall, which is, I believe, a Charlie Chaplin quote, where where Woody Allen's like, my approach to relationships is I wouldn't want to be. I think of the quote, I wouldn't want to be part of any club that would have someone like me as a member.
Yeah, yeah, it's a classic line, and I have to say, your Woody Allen impression is that was really like I felt like I was like you didn't look like Woody Allen, but other than that, I felt like I was talking to Woody Allen there for a moment. We should talk about some Nintendo games. I feel like
Yeah.
We have another news story though.
Yeah, right. So Capcom reportedly gearing up for multiple Nintendo Switch titles. This comes from Nintendo Life, and apparently, according to this article in Nintendo Life, and with a quote from Takashi Mochizuki over at the Wall Street Journal, which, his Twitter account is probably one that you're familiar with if you are a Nintendo fan and you follow Nintendo stuff. He says that Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch sold 450,000 copies, which is insane to me.
Yeah, that's a big game, and considering it's one that we all own like 30 times over, on a console that was close to brand new when it came out, like yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it was a game that it cost $40, and there's a lot of discussion about if that price point was appropriate.
It's on a system that doesn't even really have a D-pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it's almost 500,000 copies. Like, that is insane.
Yeah.
So as kind of a result of that, Capcom is apparently considering you're gearing up for pre-production, developing, who knows what stage they're at, but they're definitely working on some Switch titles.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Monster Hunter Double Cross has been announced for Japan, but there's no news on a localization, unfortunately. But like, I think it's, we've been saying this forever, since it was announced, like stuff like Disney Afternoon Collection, the two Mega Man Legacy collections, like those feel like no-brainers for the system. So I'm hoping we finally get those. Is there anything else that you would really like to see Capcom get on the Switch?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would love to see Resident Evil on the Switch. I think that for sure the HD remakes would be good candidates for Switch. I mean, Resident Evil remake and Resident Evil Zero are both GameCube games in the first place, so I feel like those would be welcome with Nintendo audiences. Resident Evil 4 even. Like I think most of us are past the point where we're really like looking for more versions of Resident Evil 4, but this would be the first like really great like handheld version of that game, and it's a game that people love and want to play all the time. I don't think there's a Vita version of Resident Evil 4, is there? Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, so
no.
I mean that would be like people have bought Resident Evil 4, happily bought Resident Evil 4 so many times on so many different platforms, and like this would be one of the first platforms where it's like kind of justified. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not that it's not justified before, but like it would really be justified on the Switch because you could play it on the go, and it's been long enough with that game too, that it's like, if you didn't buy one of the 20 re-releases in the last 15 years, and you haven't played it, like I haven't really played Resident Evil 4. I played it for 2 hours probably on the Wii when it came out there. But other than that, I haven't played it since it was on the GameCube, the first time I played it.
Man.
To play a portable Resident Evil 4, sure, that'd be great. And same goes for remake and sort of for Zero too. The Revelations games would be great on Switch, the first one especially. And then I don't know if it's possible, but if we could get Resident Evil 7 on Switch, that would be super great too. Maybe not possible, but I would love that. Or maybe I guess it would be a little more difficult of a task. I think all the other games that I've listed would be, probably more straightforward ports, depending on what engines those games are running in their various, PS4 and PC versions and stuff like that. But
well, I mean, all of those that you just listed have like PS3 and 360 versions, and they also have PC versions that kind of scale depending on hardware. So like Remake, RE4, the Revelations games, those are all available on last gen hardware and PC. So it should definitely be possible to get those on Switch.
And I don't remember for sure, and I don't know if you know, but Resident Evil 7, is Capcom, did they develop their own engine for that? Is that like I think I remember them talking about the engine they made for RE7, so it might be like their own proprietary thing. The only reason I paused when I said like, those would be easier to put on Switch than RE7 is I thought for a second, like, well, what if RE7's in Unreal, which is already running on Switch, and those games and some, Capcom only like engine.
A lot of them are MT framework.
Right. Okay.
Which is like a super scalable engine, because obviously like Resident Evil Revelations started on 3DS and then has been ported to like everything else. And there's actually a PS4 and Xbox One version coming out like next month or something.
Oh, okay.
So
so I mean, there's a lot of room for some kind of Resident Evil presence on the Switch, if not lots of Resident Evil games on the Switch, right? And when you're talking about the download only ones, especially like, and same thing for like Afternoon Collection. There's no physical release of that yet, that I don't think, right? So I would think the turnaround on getting that onto the Switch would be pretty light, because I don't think it should be hard to get the game ported to Switch, and then you don't have to produce a physical copy, etc. So I would think that would be, and they may have started working on that as soon as it launched on PS4 and stuff, because like I remember obviously there was a very vocal push from fans like, we want to play this on a Nintendo, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, some of those things I think could be, could come out quickly, and then potentially stuff like Resident Evil 7, which is, maybe would require a little more effort and a little more time to get going. We could see later on. Actually, Disney Afternoon Collection, I think would be great if they did a physical version of that on Switch. I think physical games seem pretty popular on Switch. The cases rule. The cards are cool, and probably a lot of Switch owners, if they have, like, we both own it already, right? Disney Afternoon Collection on the PS4, but if they put it on Switch in a physical form, even if it was digital only, I'm buying it no matter what on Switch. But if it was physical, for sure I would, so. But to answer your question, Ryan, there's a lot of cool stuff from Capcom I would like to see on the Switch.
Yeah, same. Yeah. I'd also love to see like a Final Fight collection, Final Fight 1 through 3, and like Mighty Final Fight would be awesome. I don't know. I mean, I could. There's so many.
Well, Ghouls and Ghosts games, too, right?
Yeah, not really for me. But I mean, they have such like an amazing back catalog of stuff. Like, and I'm mostly thinking about retro collections because that's kind of a lot of what I use my Switch for. And also a lot of I don't even know like what Capcom has coming up like on their like current gen platforms outside of like Monster Hunter World. I don't really know. But I mean, if they want to go back and re-release like the old Dino Crisis games, or even like the D&D collection that was on Wii U and every other system. That would be so awesome on Switch. I would love that.
It would, because I owned it or own it on the Wii U, but that's a system that I never touch now, and it's been kind of handed off to my kids. Not just to be like, oh, I'm too cool for it or whatever, but like I've given it to my kids, and it's super dirty and has snot all over it, and it's just like it takes a lot for me to like show any interest in going back to the Wii U now, just because of the state my Wii U is in, because I've handed off to my kids, so I would love to have it on Switch for that reason. But also, like, I can imagine just like hanging out somewhere, especially if you're with somebody else that has a Switch, and playing like some co-op Dungeons and Dragons, like, that would be amazing, I think. So,
or even in like tabletop mode.
Yeah. Or hanging out in the woods and playing Dungeons and Dragons would be really cool too. I think that was popular for a few minutes there, playing like Breath of the Wild, like in the woods or something.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done.
I think like hanging out in the woods with your friends playing Dungeons and Dragons, I think that's like a chick publications warning pamphlet. That's a cautionary tale right there.
Yeah, well, I'd like to push my luck and actually do that with that collection. So yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some games we've been playing. And
hey, can I? I'm sorry, Ryan, to do this to you, because you're trying to host this show and I'm interrupting you. Can I though quickly? You didn't put. For it. I just feel like it's a big moment for you. Specifically, that DQ11 was announced for today, right? Like DQ11 is coming west. We don't know what version necessarily, like if the 3DS version's coming, if the PS4 version, the Switch, but the game's coming, right?
That's why I didn't. No, I mean, I'm very excited about that. Yeah, Dragon Quest XI announced for a Western release. It is going to be localized, but again, we don't know the version, so I didn't know if that would be appropriate to discuss here. Hopefully it's all versions. Hopefully it's the PS4, 3DS, and Switch versions, but we don't really know, and I believe they said more news to come in the fall.
Yeah,
so
and the Switch version is a little bit of a mystery right now too, right? Like what that even is. So, yeah, but it's good to know that game is is coming west. So I think the Switch version is very likely. The 3DS version, I think there's a potential for that one to get lost in the shuffle there and not ever come stateside. But I think the Switch version is very likely.
Well, we'll see.
Intenstradamus speaks. Okay,
okay.
You'll be playing Dragon Quest 11 on your Switch in America.
Okay, I'm totally cool with that.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about some games we've been playing. I'm going to be honest, I have not been playing many games lately. I just started a new job, and it's pretty intense. So I've been pretty busy with that, and learning a lot about how to be successful in my new position. And I haven't really been playing a lot of games. So this could end up being a little brief, briefer than our usual now playing sections. But we both have been playing some Splatoon 2. And we actually both played together this morning using the Nintendo online app. Is that what it's called? Nintendo Switch online app?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's called Nintendo Switch. So we did that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the game or the app first? Do you want the good news or the bad news?
I think we should talk about the game first and what a good game it is, and then talk about the bad news.
Okay. Cool. So, why is Splatoon 2 a good game?
Well, I just had a friend of mine just DM'd me a little while ago earlier tonight and was like, "Hey, I never played Splatoon 1. Do you think I should get Splatoon 2?" And I was like, "Oh, that's a big yes. Like, absolutely you should." And my reasoning for him was that Splatoon on Wii U is one of the best games on that system. And from what I've played of Splatoon 2 so far, I feel like it's just that game, but better basically in every way to me. Like Turf War Turf War still mostly feels the same. There's new weapons and stuff, and there's some new maps, there's some old maps, but Turf War is it's tried and true, right? Like, it's an amazing experience. It's super fun. Like, the online works great. Now I can play it anywhere, provided I have Wi-Fi. So I've actually really liked playing handheld and docked. It's been great both ways. I love the fact that you can adjust the controls kind of separately. Like, you can have different sensitivity settings for when you're playing handheld versus when you're playing docked. It's just, that stuff is great. Looks really good. I don't think I noticed I know it looks better than the Wii U version, but I already felt like that game looked so good, and it's such a stylized game. But I mean, it looks great. It runs super smoothly. No issues there for me at all. Like, it runs super fast and smooth. So it's great. And that's mainly what I love about Splatoon is Turf Wars. So that's what I've played the most in my experience so far. I know there's a bunch of other stuff in the game that I think is all really good too. I've played a little bit of the single player. I didn't love the single player in Splatoon 1. And from what I've played of the single player in Splatoon 2, it's pretty similar. And it's good, but it's just whenever I launch Splatoon 2 to play the game, I look over to the left and think, like, I could jump down that sewer grate and like go play single player, but it's just not, to me, it's just not as appealing as Turf Wars. So, I want to kind of get through it like slowly over time, just, here and there. But that's more of a side course for me. And obviously the main course is Turf Wars. So, yeah, I don't know. I may have more I can say, but what do you think about Splatoon 2 so far?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty similar to you about the single player stuff. Like, I played through a couple stages, and again, just like you, like, I liked it in Splatoon 1, but it wasn't that's not my strongest memories or my favorite part of that game. I mean, I think it would be cool if like I was on a plane or something with no Wi-Fi, like, or you know, out in the woods after a, a sweet blasphemous D&D session. But you know, uh, like it's cool that it's there. But again, like when very similar to what you said, when I'm spending my time playing Splatoon, like it's gonna be Turf 4. I played some Salmon Run, which is cool. I like it. I don't love the fact that you can seemingly, I don't want to say randomly because I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it, but you just the fact that you can like rank down and go down in your payout multiplier, your pay rate or whatever. That's kind of a bummer because again, like that's why I don't really like playing ranked mode in Splatoon because it's so dependent on not just your performance but the performance of your teammates as well, and it always feels kind of like a bummer to be penalized for sometimes it's your poor performance, but sometimes it's just like your team isn't very good. And I don't like essentially losing progress because of that. Whereas Turf War, I think, is the, you're always accomplishing something. You're always, getting money. You're always going up in rank, which means you can access different clothes and weapons. So it feels like you're always making progress, even if you lose or you don't have your best game or something. I think that's a great thing about Turf War. And yeah, so I guess similar to the original Splatoon, the main way I'm playing Splatoon 2 is playing Turf War.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like another question I had going into Splatoon 2 was sort of how I was going to feel about the transition to like the game being a single screen experience, because obviously on the Wii U version, you always had the map on the gamepad if you wanted it. I know some people play with like the Pro Controller or whatever, but you still could have the gamepad there to look at the map. I think that it is not a big deal at all. Like I am totally used to now just like hitting X to take a look at the map. I probably actually look at the map more than I did previously. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think I actually looked down at the screen that much to check the map in Splatoon 1, and I do it fairly often. It's extremely quick to just like hit X, it pops up, and you can hit X again and it's gone, and it's pretty convenient. And even if you don't like doing that, like, and you'd prefer to look down at the gamepad and see the map, the ability to play off TV, for a lack of a better phrase there, I guess, or what is the equivalent of off TV play on the Switch, which you couldn't do on the Wii U, so like it's totally worth, if I don't even think it is inconvenient, but if you thought it was inconvenient to pull the map up with X, like that's a small price to pay for being able to play it anywhere you want, I think. So, so that is cool. Have you done the music mini game? I forget what that's called, but it's like, like the almost like theater rhythm type game.
Yeah, I popped over to it for like a second, but didn't really dig in. Have you played much of it?
Not too much. I probably played for like 5 minutes or something. I like it, but there's the control is a little, or the not the control, but like the options, the button options. You can hit like the sort of like this. I'm trying to remember now, but I think it's like the D-pad buttons for some of your button presses, but then sometimes you have to do like sometimes you do like the shoulder buttons, sometimes you do the face buttons, and then sometimes you do like the kind of like the D-pad and I don't know, the sticks or whatever. And it's just one of the options for like your button presses is pretty uncomfortable, and it's like hard for me to. It was hard for me to do, but I didn't spend that much time on it. Like I said, so. But I'm used to playing Theater Rhythm on the touchscreen, and it's just like very smooth, and that's kind of like my preferred method, I think, for doing that kind of thing, is using the touch screen. But I will play more of it, and it looks awesome, and it sounds really cool. So,
yeah, I mean, there's great music in Splatoon 2.
Yeah, and I remember when I played it at the Switch preview event, I was kind of like, I'm not feeling the music as much as the first Splatoon. But now that I have the actual, retail game, I've noticed that a lot of that music that I like so much from the first Splatoon is still here in Splatoon 2. You hear that stuff a lot, and that's true of maps too. I mean, like there's quite a few maps that are, I think, maybe slightly different than they were in Splatoon, but your favorite locations from the first game are there, and probably more of them are going to come as time goes on. But it's a good mix of new and old, I think. For music, for weapons, for clothes, for the levels and all that stuff.
Yep. So right now we are in the midst of our first Splatfest. In the retail game, at least, and it is mayo versus ketchup. We have Pearl supporting mayo, and the other
Marina.
She is supporting ketchup. So where did you fall on this, John?
I fell on the ketchup side, obviously. And ketchup is clearly the preferred condiment in this equation. So that's, I guess, one reason I chose it. But the thing is, too, like, I'm so Team Marina over Team Pearl that, like, I feel like I'm almost always going to go with Marina unless it's, like, unless she's supporting something I really, really dislike, and Pearl is supporting something I love, 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 I just really like Marina so much more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Marina's, I mean, I'll just say this. This is what I said to you earlier when we were playing this morning. It makes sense that Pearl is Team Mayo. And I'm just going to kind of leave it at that. And that sums up my feelings about this Splatfest and about Pearl.
Now, is it happening now? Because I thought it said August 3rd and 4th. When
I have my T-shirt.
Yeah, but like the actual the competition or whatever is okay. Is it next weekend or?
Yeah, it may be. I just grabbed my T-shirt and voted. So, but you're right. Same. Yeah, I think it could be. I forgot that there's those delays, I guess, from when you can first access the content and when it's actually starting to be tallied.
Yeah, like you're not actually competing in the Splatfest except for those 2 daes. Like, so.
Yeah,
they give you a period of time to choose.
Mentally, I'm thinking about ketchup when I play.
Sure.
In Marina.
Sure. Yeah,
that's where my headspace is at, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about our experience playing this morning, because we gave the app a try.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using the app since I got Splatoon 2. I'm sure you have as well. Just not for like really online stuff, but to check like stats and to kind of see like which levels are coming up next, and stuff like that. Like it's the app is really nice for that stuff. I think like it works pretty well, and there's a lot of information in there, and I think it's kind of nice to have it in a separate. I mean, it would be fine to go in and look at that stuff on the Switch and go through menus on your game and stuff and do that. But it's kind of cool to have it separated out to another app. I guess if you didn't have a phone that could do this stuff, or if you're like a little kid and you don't have a phone, then maybe it's not so cool. But for me, I've enjoyed using the app for like stats and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just to say that first, the app looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
The information is arranged pretty well, I think. It'll be interesting to see when there's more games that support it, like what it'll look like in terms of, going in and using the app for Splatoon 2 versus using it for another online game. But so far, I'm happy with the app in most respects, except for, I guess, its kind of primary function, which is to act as a way of getting together to play games and to chat while playing games.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not good.
No,
it's bad.
Nope. Yeah,
Very bad.
it's actually bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this was one of those things where anytime Nintendo does anything ever, you always have the peanut gallery. I shouldn't say that. You always have the critics, critical thinkers. Yes, those people. A lot of people. Anytime Nintendo does just about anything, and they ask, why is it this way and not a different way? Why is it not exactly the same as Sony? Why is it not the way things are on PC? Why is it not the same as Microsoft? And there was a lot of that with this this app and specifically the voice chat side of it. I saw just a lot of criticism out there on websites and blogs and social media, all of that. And usually I always kind of approach Nintendo stuff with an open mind, but in this case, the critics are absolutely right. This is an incredibly flawed system they have here for voice chat. It is not good.
No, it sucks. And the thing is, like, I feel like, yes, of course, there are people who are like waiting to be outraged about something, especially regarding Nintendo. But then on the opposite side of that coin, there are people that are like willing to fall on their sword over and over again to defend Nintendo. Like, when there's no kind of excuse for certain choices they make. And then there's, most people who are in the middle who sort of say, yeah, it doesn't, like, I think our approach was like, it doesn't sound great, but let's see what it's like when we get it right.
Yeah.
That's how most people are, I think. So, and that's a measured and reasonable approach. It's like, you don't have to be just like so part of the Nintendo cult that when they announce something that makes no sense, that you have to be like, rah, 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 it's going to be awesome. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we weren't like that, but I think we were hopeful that it might be good. And our hopes sort of were quickly dispelled this morning as we tried to play together because it's like, cool, okay, we're going to play online. We're going to chat while we play. Like, let's pull out this app and set something up. And, I tried to make our first room and it was snappy. Like, it was quick. Like, when you came into the online lobby or whatever, like, it saw you right away. Once we were like in a lobby together, the chat worked fine. Actually, I'll take a quick detour here and mention that I kind of liked using like my Bluetooth headphones with my iPad to talk, just because like they're already synced with my iPad. I have found with other consoles, specifically PS4, like, headphones and microphones that will sync with my phone or iPad, no problem. I can't use on the PS4. So like that kind of stuff, it was actually really convenient on that level. Except for until, you kind of like start to play a game and then can't hear the game audio. So I was like playing like this, like with one headphone off so I could hear the sound coming from my Switch and then hear you in the other ear. And that was not preferred, but I guess my point is here, like, leading up to the actual experience of trying to play a game together, there were plenty of things that worked well, were kind of nice
Mhm.
from a certain angle, etc. But then we go to play, and the only option I have is to set up a private match where you were playing Turf War, a private match where it's just you and I in a big, vast Splatoon Turf War map. And we played one round.
1v1.
Yeah, 1v1. We played one round, and like we couldn't talk to each other while we were doing it.
No, because we're on opposite teams.
We were on opposite teams, so we couldn't talk to one another. I think we could have chosen to be on the same team, but I don't know what would have happened then because there was nobody else playing. So anyway, yeah, we couldn't talk to one another, and like it got over, and I was like, that was the most boring. Like, it's such a great game, and they found a way to make it super boring and terrible. If we lived in a world where we had 6 other friends who wanted to play Splatoon 2 with us at the same time
at 6 in the morning when
yeah,
we played
and weren't well 7 my time, but sure, and weren't already in somebody else's, you know what I mean? Like I might go, there might be times when I log on to my Switch and see 6 people on my friend list playing like Splatoon 2, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to get all of them into my online lobby at the same time. It's just too much. You know what I mean? So I can see where if you had 8 people in one lobby and you're going to do some turf wars together, that'd be a lot of fun and it would work really well because the voice chat would work. It would split us into teams. I'd be able to talk to the people on my team. You'd be able to talk to the people on your team. And that would be great. But as far as I could tell, I mean, I guess we could do it with like 4 people and have 2-on-2, but those maps are made for 4-on-4, you know?
And there was no option for bots.
No, there's no option for bots. So it was just super disappointing. Like, I think it makes no sense for me to have, your voice coming through headphones and then not be able to hear my game audio that way too, without buying a goofy adapter and having cables all over the place. And that's, like I said, one of the things I liked about it was using Bluetooth headphones. And that was like really simple and convenient, unless you want to hear your game audio. And then you've got to like do something awkward. And my phone doesn't even have a headphone jack. So I'd have to use an adapter on my iPad does. And that's what I use today, though I use Bluetooth headphones. But like a lot of people now, like the phones are not having headphone jacks on them anymore, a whole thing, So anyway, we got done with that one terrible round. And then we decided to just forget the app, play online together, and then do a FaceTime audio call and just talk to each other that way. And we ended up playing for like a half an hour. And, that worked fine, but it was because we chose not to use Nintendo's method. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was apparent within 3 minutes of using the Nintendo Online app to try to play multiplayer, voice chat enabled games together that we might as well just go call each other on the phone and play that way because it's going to work a lot better. So, yeah. I mean, I was disappointed before, like, why didn't they enable this for Mario Kart 8? Like when they made this live for Splatoon 2, right? And now I'm like, forget, I don't even want them to. Like,
no,
I'd rather just call you on Skype and play Mario Kart 8 together than bother with this terrible app experience.
Yeah. And the way, I ended up playing on my end. I was, we were using FaceTime. I was using it on my iPhone, and the PS4 earbud microphone headset. That's, it goes in one ear, and clips on your shirt, and is a microphone. Whatever. I had that going through my phone, and then I had the earbuds I'm using right now. The left earbud on that plugged into my Switch because I was playing in portable mode, and had that coming in the other ear, and so I had essentially 3 cords hanging out around me, and naturally, one of my cats got very excited about that because there's all these dangling cords all of a sudden, and she started pulling them out of my ears. So that was great. And then you compare that to the experience when I, when I play um, on PS4 and I just have a single headset that is wireless. I have one of the, and this is something I purchased, but it's something I would happily purchase for my Nintendo Switch, which is just a wireless headset that does both game audio and it has a microphone and, that I can use for voice chat as well. And I can have, friend audio through there as well. And, it's just, and that's something I've been using for like 2 years on my PS4. And it's just, it's insane that the kind of hoops we have to jump through in 2017 to get voice chat and, play in a party for an online game on the Switch.
Yeah. This comment might put me sort of into the category of people you were talking about earlier, like, overly critical of Nintendo or whatever. But I honestly think after my experience this morning trying to do this, I don't know. On the one hand, I mean, it's like I guess they're not required to do anything. It's just a company that you're getting entertainment services from or whatever. Like, you're not really owed anything, but at the same time, like, I feel like it's actually hostile towards users, like this experience. It's actually hostile toward me as a user of this console and these games to try to like, to do it in this way, because I feel like it's actively discouraging me from doing something that I went into this game, I guess, not expecting I would be able to do, because there was all kinds of red flags and, they announced how this was going to work. But I don't know. Somehow I thought it would be okay, not great, but okay. And it's just really bad as it is. So it's kind of like insulting almost, it's done so badly. And it's like, sometimes they do stuff online really badly and you feel like, oh yeah, they didn't quite nail that. Like they just don't know what they're doing. And then like, I just got done doing this today and thought like, this is exactly what they wanted it to be. It did what they wanted it to do completely efficiently. We had no issues, but they wanted it to be like this terrible experience for me. It was designed to be this way. It was designed to sort of like get in the way of me being able to do what we wanted to do this morning, which was just like, as friends, play the game together and be able to talk while we did it, And the game, the platform seems designed to get in the way of doing that on purpose. And I don't know. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic or anything. I think that's like just the truth. Like, I don't think they want this to be convenient, or I think they want to really severely limit like what you can do in terms of communication while playing games online. And that is, I'd almost rather they just not let you do it at all if it's going to be, like just no voice chat, because then at least I know like, all right, I'll just use Skype,
Yeah.
So.
Or, I mean, go back to the same way we played like Mario Kart DS online, which is just like texting. Like, would be more convenient. Yeah, it's a huge bummer. I think it can, I hope it is improved. I think it was a really, really good choice for them to move charging people money for this to next year, because I could not imagine feeling comfortable or supporting paying money for this service right now in its current state. It does not have any monetary value to me of any amount. And, I think they really need to work on improving this. I think it's something they will do. I think this will get better. Um, because I can't see anyone at Nintendo being totally happy with the way this is or the reaction to it.
Yeah, I think it could get better. I hope it will get better. One of the things I have been saying is that like it works efficiently and well in my experience. It's just designed to be frustrating, but they could choose. It seems like they could choose at any time to, like, for instance, when we went into the online lounge today, to let us, you know, be matched up with other people, and they could still have the app set so only you and I can talk to one another because we're the only two people in like a given game that are friends. But like, why does it have to be a private match? Why couldn't they match us up with other people? Because as soon as we got out of that online lounge and just went in to play with friends online, like you and I played together for a half an hour or 45 minutes playing against a bunch of random people, and we talked to one another over Skype or over FaceTime. Like, Nintendo could have supplied that experience for us, but instead got in the way of that experience. And I have to, like, they did it on purpose. That's my thing. Like you say, like, you think it will get better. I think I guess I feel like it probably will get better, in hopefully in significant ways. But the reason I'm pessimistic about that is because this wasn't an accident. You know what I mean? Like, that became clear to me as soon as I tried to play this, like, this morning. And if you would ask me yesterday, I would be like, oh yeah, they're probably like, they're still developing how this is going to work and whatever. When I played it today, it felt so designed to be this way. And so for it to get better, it's going to require them to change their thinking about like online communication while playing games. That has to change. It's not that they don't have to change their infrastructure. They don't have to change the functionality of the app, really. They have to change their attitude about what they want us to be able to do or what they're going to facilitate for us. That's where my concern is. And I think you're right to say that this is not worth money, especially because there's a lot of things the app does well with Splatnet. But guess what? They are things that were just in Splatoon 2. I mean, in Splatoon on Wii U, that they've now taken out of the base game, put into the app, like seeing results from my matches. You couldn't look at your last 50 matches and see like what you did in each individual match before, but like to see your results from a match, that's just like basic functionality of the game. To know like what levels are coming up at a certain time frame, like that's not something that needs to be in a specific app, or like that's just stuff that is in a video game that they've conveniently and kind of like nicely put together in this app, but it's not anything that you should have to pay for. What you should have to pay for is like the matchmaking, the online functionality, the voice chat, etc. And those things are bad. I mean, I guess online, maybe it would be fair of us, or we should say that like I've been playing Splatoon 2 almost exclusively online since I got it, and it works very well online. So that is worth acknowledging. Like, as a service, like I am playing the game online all the time, and it runs really well.
Sure.
So that's good. But I think that they're gonna be giving away these virtual console games, and you're gonna be able to play those games online. And when you're talking $25 a year or whatever, they don't have to do that much to justify the price of the service, and this could still be terrible. And I feel like it'd be worth $25 a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they start giving out those games to play online, like classic games with online functionality, and it's a library of games that I could play at any time, that's going to be worth $25 to me, even if this stays terrible. And I think they know that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's hard because, Splatoon 1, we played on Wii U and it was free to play online. And, a lot of these games like Balloon Fight, Dr. Mario, yes, there's going to be that online functionality, and that is awesome, but it's, these are games we probably own on other systems and we can pick up and play at any time.
That's true. And Dr. Luigi, you could play that online, right? But you didn't have to pay for like an online service or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
but but I guess there are games that we're not going to have to pay for, but there are games we've paid for before, like you said. So it's
I
like
mean,
another.
it's really easy without like a killer feature when there is something like this one thing that's very wrong with this service. It's very easy to kind of devalue it. It almost feels like this voice chat mess kind of taints the whole thing. Um, Especially because voice chat was the thing that has been missing
Yeah.
the whole time, and now it's here and it's not very good.
It's actually worse than it was on Wii U, right? I mean, like, I could play Mario Kart 8 online and talk to you on my Wii U. It wasn't good, only in the
No,
menus, but like at least when we were done with the race, I could talk to you for like 30 seconds or whatever, right?
yeah, but I mean, that was like 30 seconds and it didn't sound very good.
But it just
Um,
flat out doesn't exist on the Switch.
yeah.
The Switch version has less online communication functionality than the Wii U one did. How
Yeah.
is that a service I'm going to pay for next year? You know?
Yeah.
I'm saying,
No, that's
not to be
totally
too
fair.
blunt, but that's just the truth. Like, so far we have like a really garbage online voice chat solution for Splatoon 2 and actually less voice chat functionality in Mario Kart. That's what this service is so far.
Yeah. And I mean, there's like nothing for other online games like Fast RMX,
Mm-hmm.
Bomberman R. Yeah, it's not a good situation, which is a shame because pretty much everything else about the Switch is awesome.
Yes. Yes.
And then there's still just this like glaring omission that has been like in expectation for a video game console since like 2005.
Yeah, and speaking of expectations for video game consoles, they could fix this whole thing with one simple update. Like they could fix the whole thing. All they need to do to add to this online app is party chat. Just add party chat because you just said like you can't play Mario Kart and talk to each other online, can't play Bomberman, can't play
Mm-hmm.
Fast RMX. Give me party chat, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter, right? Because we could talk to each other through their service and play any game we wanted to online. And
Mm-hmm.
the online system like lobbying, matchmaking, they could add that stuff into those games, or even if they didn't, at least we just have like a convenient way to speak to one another while we played games.
Mm-hmm.
Although even that, if they don't add in game audio one way or another, even that is not really a good solution, because like it's, I don't know. I guess it's slightly better than just Skyping with one another, but I have to use a separate device and I'm not hearing my game audio. So like, why is paying Nintendo for the Switch Online app to be able to talk to you and not hear my game audio, like through party chat? Like, how is that even any better than just Skyping with you?
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I was just like, I thought, we could fix it. Just give us party chat. But even just giving us party chat wouldn't really
No, they
improve
have.
it. It has to have game audio too.
Yeah. I mean, they. I don't know. Like, I'm definitely, if you've listened to the show for the past 5 years, I've never been one to say like, hey, Nintendo should copy what Microsoft is doing or what Sony is doing. But in this case, yeah, they need. I mean, there's no better solution than a headset that lets you hear both your friend chat, lets you talk with a mic, and hear your game audio as well. Like, that's the best solution for playing games online.
The problem is though
with
that
friends.
they've complicated this with this online app. I feel like, or this the smartphone app. Maybe they need to walk that back and make that an option. But also, actually, they don't maybe need to. They absolutely need to walk that back
Yep.
and then also bake that
It can't be
functionality into
the
the
only way.
system.
Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of our where this complication comes in, because it's like, oh yeah, give us party chat, but then I can't hear my game audio. Well, if you would just let me connect my either wired or wireless headset to the Switch, and then I could do voice chat through the system itself, then we're good, right? But I was even just thinking, like, it's complicated because like my Switch sits like 10 feet away from me in the living room, and if it's in docked mode, you know what I mean? And then when I have my two Joy-Con in the grip and I'm playing a game on the TV, there's nothing I can plug a headset into. Like when I'm playing PS3, my PS4 is 10 feet away from me too, but it doesn't matter because I could just plug my headset into the PS4 controller, or I could use a Bluetooth headset, right?
Yeah, or on PS4, like I mentioned earlier, I have the gold headset, and that's a USB dongle that plugs into the PS4 itself.
Okay, so then it gives you wireless. It's a USB wireless dongle?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Which I think is also an option for Switch, something you plug into the dock, a USB dongle.
Yeah, but they need to get it into the system so that, because otherwise I don't know what unless they're going to beam the game audio to your phone and then up to your headphones, like how am I going to get sound? How am I going to get all the sound I need,
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, it sucks. They need
it needs to get better.
Completely rework it, I think.
Needs to get better. This is not cool now.
Now, we could just say quickly too, as we end this conversation, I think, I don't think for either one of us, like playing games online and talking to people while we play them is like a make or break situation for like, oh, I'm like Splatoon. Neither one of us is talking about not playing Splatoon 2 anymore because we can't like conveniently talk to each other while we do it.
Right.
But it's still garbage. Like we should be able to do that. You know what I mean? So I still love my Switch. I still love Splatoon 2. I'm still going to play it online all the time, but they should, I think, be embarrassed by this garbage solution that they've, haphazardly put together and then been unable to be honest about. Like Reggie telling us that it's a more elegant solution is ridiculous. And, whatever, we already talked about that. I feel like he probably just is being forced to make that. He can't feel good about saying that out loud as a human being who is able to be self-aware. He can't feel good about saying that to people in public. So
yeah, elegant is not the word I'd use.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so let's end on a positive note, talking about something cool on Nintendo Switch, because it is still like a super great system, and it's like so good, and I love the Nintendo Switch and I love the games on it. And one piece of software I am loving right now is Namco Museum for the Nintendo Switch. This is something that's like on your radar? Have you picked it up, John?
No, I have not. It is definitely on my radar. I'm super interested. But I have to say I had sticker shock when I looked it up this week at the $29.99 price tag. And I feel kind of lame saying that because like I don't want to devalue like, good classic games and stuff, but I don't know. A lot of these are like arcadey games that I don't know that I'm necessarily going to get a ton of time out of. And just $30 seems like a lot to spend on this for me. So I'm kind of hesitant at the moment.
Well, I'm feeling, I was kind of hoping it would have fallen more around 20. But I'm actually super impressed with the package as a whole. There are plenty of display options with the games. I'm just going to kind of get into like some of the basics and then sort of dig into the actual games. So display options are plentiful. but they're kind of weird. There's you can like adjust the aspect ratio, the zoom, um, but you can also uh, adjust the display 90 degrees. So, as you can kind of imagine, playing this on um, the Nintendo Switch portable unit, adjusting it 90 degrees gives you like this very vertical oriented um, field of view for the game, which is kind of appropriate to some of the arcade monitors used for games like Galaga or even Pac-Man. Um, so that is super cool. The only problem with that is the controls don't automatically change accordingly, and you have to kind of manually set the controls each time you do
Do
this.
you have to manually set each button, or is there like an option you can choose that's just like, oh, it's tate mode control scheme?
Yeah, as far as I've found so far, you have to manually set each button.
Ooh.
So it takes it from, being like a legitimate way to play these games to more of kind of a novelty. Um,
Although, uh, to be fair, like a lot of these games, like you're either going to play them in landscape or portrait mode, like one or the other, right? So, like for instance, if we're talking Pac-Man, if I switch it to like the portrait mode or the tate mode or like up and down vertical, and then I change the controls once for Pac-Man specifically, like
mhm.
then the next if you're gonna go play Splatterhouse, then like next time I come back to Pac-Man, is it going to be vertical and the control options are saved for me, or is this like every time I play the game I have to change these settings? Because
They
if it
should
saved
save.
them,
They should save.
then that's
Um,
that's not so bad.
that's not so bad, yeah. But that's also kind of an uncomfortable way to hold the system.
Need a good stand. I don't know if there
Perhaps.
is one, but somebody needs to produce a good.
Yeah, and actually yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a solution to it. But, I thought, checking it out, I was like, oh, this is cool that it's an option. But to me, it's more of a novelty because it just wasn't a comfortable way to play the games. Um, but I think just playing the games in like the default settings, after messing around with it, still provides you with a really great experience because the games have they're like pixel perfect on the screen. And I played this entirely in handheld mode. Um, and there's also like really, really great, like high resolution borders for the games that kind of simulate the arcade cabinets. So it's, even just playing in the default options, you're getting a really, really great visual experience with the games. Um, Something that's added to every game in the collection is HD Rumble, which was something I was not really expecting. But it's kind of interesting because um, you know I think in in some games it's better than others. For example, like Pac-Man, you'll pick up a power pellet, and then um, as you're gobbling up the regular pellets and ghosts, you're getting different like rumble from them. That's pretty cool. But I think in something like Splatterhouse, it's way more interesting because you're getting like this kind of you're getting like physical feedback like every time you attack an enemy. Um, and that's like a pretty cool sensation to add to some of these old games. Uh, and you can turn it off if you don't want it at all, but I think it's a pretty neat addition. Also, like I'm a fan of the way the rumble feels on the Switch. And I think HD rumble is kind of a silly term, but I do think when you are playing the Switch in portable mode, the rumble does feel pretty unique. And so it's kind of cool seeing that applied to some of these classic games.
So when you play Splatterhouse and you get like HD rumble feedback, whatever, when you like, make contact with an enemy, is it pretty light rumble or is it like full on rumble? Because I feel like this doesn't sound like it's something I would want to have happening all the time unless it was like a real low key kind of rumble, which is something that the HD rumble is supposed to be able to do,
Mm-hmm.
versus other rumble. So would you say it's pretty light or?
I'd say I would just say that it feels good and it kind of adds to the immersion.
Okay.
But again, it's something you can totally turn off if you find that you don't like it.
Yeah. Okay.
So kind of again, like just more kind of system level stuff here. Something I'm really, really happy with is there are online leaderboards for every game. And this is, there are various settings you can adjust for each game, but the online leaderboards are only for playing the games at the default settings or for challenge mode, which I'll talk about in a minute here. So online leaderboards, super cool with arcade style games. You can after your ranking has been saved and stuff, you can go through, look at the players around you. You can hop up to players, in the top 50, whatever. And any player you click on, you can see their high score in every game in the collection, kind of right off the bat there, which I think is pretty cool. Unfortunately, at this time, there's no friends only leaderboards, which I think is a bummer because, yeah, it's cool to see like where you're ranked worldwide and stuff, and to kind of strive for improving that. But I think it's more interesting to compare your scores in games to your friends. And there's no friend specific leaderboard, which is, I think, is a definite bummer. So you can, when you play the games, you can choose right off the bat, you can choose between like just standard mode, which is your kind of standard arcade experience, or challenge mode. And in challenge mode, it's kind of a unique challenge for each game. It's usually like a timed trial. Like, for example, in Splatterhouse, challenge mode is you're trying to get the highest score as possible in stage 5. So it's like Nick Arcade or something, basically. And you have like a 4-minute timer or whatever to get as high of a score as you can in stage 5 with default settings. And then that's a separate online ranking. So those challenges are unique for each game, which I think that's really cool. But then if you are just playing the games in standard mode, you can go in and adjust various settings in there. You can adjust, all sorts of like difficulty type settings. You can adjust, just general difficulty, stuff like, the amount of lives you get. And there's also some game specific settings that you can adjust. Like, for example, in Pac-Man, you can turn on or off the stage 256 glitch. So I think that's really cool too. It just, it's that kind of, Sega 3D classics feeling where you have like just you feel like you have a variety of like dip switches on an arcade unit at your disposal, just messing around with different settings there. Um, so that's cool. And then kind of the last thing I want to say on the system level is you do have save states for every game. These obviously are not going to you can't use save and load without taking yourself off the rankings mode. You can't use them for online rankings, but if you're just trying to get through a game, then you can use save states. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at on the system level.
With the challenge mode stuff, like I know you said it was like, high scores in certain levels and stuff like that, but does it have like a NES remix vibe at all, kind of thing, where it like you feel like you're playing the game sort of like differently, or it's like really fundamentally changing the experience, or is it more just kind of like here's like an objective to, you play the game kind of normally as you would, but you have this additional objective as you're playing it?
Yeah, I would say I would say more the latter. Okay. It's not as
it's like as creative as
but it's typically like high scores stuff. I haven't done it with every game, so there may be some stuff where you're asked to play it in like fundamentally differently. But yeah, I think it's more the latter.
Cool. Okay.
So I just want to real quick here talk about some of like the game highlights for me. Just the games I've enjoyed playing the most, and I haven't really dug into all of them very much. This just came out yesterday, and I've only had like a limited amount of time to play. But yes, the games on here, there's some that I'm just, some of them have appeared on like every Namco collection. So stuff like Pac-Man and Dig Dug in the original, because we're all super familiar with. But some of the highlights for me were obviously Splatterhouse, which I have never really played the arcade version of it. I had always kind of played the TurboGrafx 16 version and then like the Sega Genesis sequels, but I had never really played the arcade version. And I'm kind of surprised by how atmospheric and kind of gory and graphic it is. Just like some of the sprites in the foreground and the background and stuff, there's just like severed torsos and stuff like that. It really does create like this very very gory vibe, and it looks pretty I don't want to say it looks good, but the pixel art is really effective for the era.
Yeah, it's been a really long time since I've played any of the Splatterhouse games. The one I'm most familiar with is 2 on the Genesis, but there were some kids that lived behind us, like kind of like in our yards, touched up against one another, and they had the TurboGrafx and had Splatterhouse, and like I just remember the game having this like reputation for being like super intense and hardcore and horrific and all that. And then I remember thinking like Splatterhouse 2 like looked better and was like ramped up, like all that stuff like was more violent, like more gross and whatever. But I wonder like if the arcade game is like grosser than Splatterhouse 2, and the way I remember is like Splatterhouse 3 was like more gross than Splatterhouse 2. So it was like kind of this evolution where they got like more nasty and kind of gross out like as they went on. At least that's how I remember it. But I wonder where the arcade Splatterhouse 1 falls like in that pantheon. You know what I mean? Like, is it more gross and nasty than like Splatterhouse 2, for instance, etc.? So that would be interesting to investigate a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm like I said, like Splatterhouse, like all 3 games, I was very aware of as a kid, including the TurboGrafx one. But I don't think I even knew there was an arcade game, and we had an arcade like 2 blocks from our house too. So I had a kid with a TurboGrafx and Splatterhouse, 1 house behind me, and then like 2 or 3 blocks further from that, there was like a sweet arcade with tons of games, and I don't remember ever seeing Splatterhouse.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
yeah. And actually, you know what I'm thinking? The other games, like Splatterhouse, is what I dug into the most, and the other games I kind of touched upon, but I feel like I want to save those for the next episode,
okay.
because we're kind of hitting our time here, and I want to spend some more time with some of these other games before I kind of sound off on them. So all in all, just like on a general level, like I'm super impressed with this collection. I do, that price point is a challenge, I think. But I do feel like this is a collection made with a lot of love and care, and at the very least, you're getting like pixel perfect versions of these arcade games, and you're also getting some options and online rankings. So I think your mileage may vary on the value of it, but I'm pretty happy with it so far, and I definitely want to spend some more time with it and play some of the other games more than I have. So, so I think I'll be. That's where I'm kind of at with it right now. And when we return in 2 weeks, I should have more established thoughts on the collection and the games within. So, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. As always, you can find our website, NintendoFunClubPodcast.com. There is a link there if you want to buy from our TeePublic store and buy our shirt. So definitely check that out. I am on Twitter at Brawndwarf, BRAWNDWARF. And John, where can folks find you?
I am on Twitter at Arcade Ghost.
Great. So yeah, we will be back in a couple of weeks here with more Nintendo and more fun. So thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. Goodbye.
Later.